Hey there, thank you so much for joining me yet again. Heather Thompson, Clarity Life Coach, author, and speaker. And today we're going to be talking about something a little different here on my channel. This is going to be my section called The Crosswalk, where we're discussing where coaching 101 life lessons end up meeting popular and pop culture events. So let's talk today about Cassie, her engagement, and her pregnancy. R&B singer Cassie Ventura came onto the scene in the mid 2000s with her hit song Me and You, and she was signed to Bad Boy Records, for those of you who remember. But what most people know her for is her engagement to, some of us call him Puff Daddy, some of us call him Puff, but you know him as Sean Combs, aka Diddy. And they had a long term, on again, off again relationship from 2007 to 2018. But when they split up, I'm sure that people assumed that we really weren't going to hear from her much anymore. But little did they know, within the last 2 months, Cassie has announced quite a bit. Number one, she is expecting a baby girl with her partner Alex Fine. But now he is indeed more than just her partner. Last week, they announced their engagement. So now, not only within less than a year's time, has she moved on and had found a new partner indeed, but now she is getting married and expecting what we know will be a beautiful baby girl. So congratulations to them on both fronts. So other than this congratulation on their new journey together, what exactly can we say and what can we apply in our own lives from this experience? And here's where the coaching part comes in. Number one, we never want to underestimate the power of moving on. What scares me for a lot of dating couples, friendships, or even employees who are in a long-term situation when things are going terribly and there have been several failed attempts to make things better, they still all say this one sentence: we've got all this history together, so that means something. I can't just go. Let me ask you, what is history if it's misery? What are years together worth if it's not working and no amount of help is making things better? Now, I am all for, especially being a coach, obviously, I'm all for people finding their answers and being about personal development. But what I am not for at any time is for hearing stories about men and women wasting years, talent, time in marriage-like situations without an actual marriage, and then blaming love and societal rules after the fact. What you participate in is your prerogative. Every day that you wake up, you do have some control over what happens within that day. Some things are outside of it, yes, but you have a great deal to contribute on your own. Instead of saying everything will be all right, which when it clearly isn't, I want you to do the work to become the change rather than expecting it but not doing anything to welcome it. We put the onus on everyone else to do what we need except ourselves. If you're not getting what you want, counting months and years as history is not going to change anything. The problem isn't addition here, it's division. It's a split between what you know you need to do and what you're afraid of. It's a lack of compatibility, respect, common goals, purpose, or even God's will for the both of you all together. And if that last one is missing, God's will in your life, what are you doing? You need to consider that. Number two, another lesson we can learn from this: don't be afraid of starting over. Don't be afraid to start over. Be afraid of repeating what doesn't work. This is a continuation of number one. Starting over is scary. It means so much is new depending on the situation, but that's exactly what you need once you know what's been isn't what is working. You can't be afraid of starting over and beginning again. You can't be afraid of repeating what doesn't work, because if you're afraid, that means you're more attracted to repeating cycles than experiencing growth. That's what you're going to continue to get. And while that's completely normal for a lot of people, it's not healthy. Change things little by little on a regular basis so that your life is accustomed to healthy change. Find new restaurants to enjoy. Try going a different way to work. Try different foods even. Join an interest group in your area for people with similar hobbies and meet new people. Read books or blogs outside of your normal interests. Just whatever you choose. Expand your mindset and your expectations. If change is an intentional part of life, it won't be so intimidating to make new choices. If change is always forced upon you or you can't stand to do it, fear will always be at the root of your decision making and your reluctance to move on. None of us can afford that. None of us. Either faith or fear can lead, and only you can choose which one that's going to be. Number 3, another lesson we learned from this situation with Cassie and Alex. Grace is the new petty. That's right, I said it. Grace is the new petty. You heard that orange is the new black and you love that idea. Well, grace is the new petty. Here's why I say this. You don't have to launch an all-out social media war on whomever you feel wronged you, disappointed you, or angered you. You don't. Now, we don't know exactly what happened behind the scenes between Cassie and Diddy. We'll let the blogs speculate on all that because that's not what I do. But what we do know is that they both moved on with their lives, however they chose to. You can simply step away from a situation, take some time to yourself, heal, regroup, whatever you need to do, and move on without the internet knowing your every step. See, you don't know what damages you inflict on your own head when you decide to take your grievances to the web. You don't. From interviewing for jobs to businesses wanting to work with you, or even friends of friends who see your words and won't pass on a recommendation based upon your behaviors, digital meltdowns are not the way to go. You've seen, especially in the news this year, kids getting rejected from Ivy League schools, state schools, whatever the case is, people losing their jobs because of their behavior on social media, especially for those who decide to have parking lot and public park confrontations that they just decide they're going to stand up for a particular thing that has nothing to do with anyone but their own ego, and they end up losing their job and becoming a social media sensation temporarily and getting a bad hashtag attached to their name. None of this is the way to go. You remember former First Lady Michelle Obama saying, "When they go low, we go high." Keep that in mind for your own life. You can release someone without unleashing hell on them at the same time. Ultimately, you just be releasing it on yourself as well. So I want you to keep that in mind. Again, we're saying congratulations to Cassie and Alex on their side, but for our side, we need to keep in mind a couple of things. Starting backwards, grace is the new petty. You don't have to fight everyone when something goes wrong. You don't have to blast your information on social media. Keep some things to yourself. Heal, regroup, reassess, do what you got to do. Don't be afraid of starting over. Be afraid, much more afraid, of repeating what does not work. Staying in a cycle is not cute. It's not necessary. People do it all the time, but it's not healthy. And finally, again, as we started with, we want to say that never underestimate the power of moving on. It can indeed change your life, and you don't know who you can meet and what can happen as a result. Don't be afraid to move on. So thank you for joining me for this new segment I'm calling The Crosswalk here on my page. Again, Heather Thompson, Clarity Life Coach, author, and speaker. Join me again when we discuss the next topic that I'll be bringing to you later on this week. Have a great one. As I always say, if you feel you're not having a great day, make it one. It's within your power to do so. God bless, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.